What if I told you a corner of Middle-earth cinema history is getting a fresh glow-up? And it isn't the latest Peter Jackson footage. Today we're diving into a bold, nostalgia-soaked collector moment. Dark Horse is rolling out the Lord of the Rings animated film PVC figure set, inspired by Ralph Bakshi's 1978 vision of Middle-earth. And yes, we're going to talk like a creator who's excited, skeptical, and curious about what this really means for fans, collectors, and the broader resonance of that film in the loreverse. First, a quick setup you can't skip. Bakshi's 1978 adaptation is a relic that split the book into two halves and gave us a grittier, more experimental tone than later live-action epics. It's also a movie that's polarizing in the best way, loved for its bold animation style and controversial for some of its pacing and design choices. Dark Horse isn't just selling figures, they're curating a visual memory of a specific interpretation of the legend, one that shaped a generation of fans who grew up with Vez shimmer and hand-painted cell energy. Personally, I think that matters because it signals how fan cultures keep reskinning the same content to fit new collecting ecosystems. The question is, does a three-figure set really capture Bakshi's broader ambitions? Or does it simplify a moment in time into dust-collecting display pieces? Let's break down what we're looking at with this new set. Frodo, Samwise, and Aragorn, sculpted by Chris Dahlberg and painted by JW Productions. Each figure ranges from about 4.25 to 6.25 inches tall, and sells as a box trio for $89.99 with a release window between September and November 2026. The packaging idea is straightforward. That trio in a single box, giving fans a tangible link to the film's core fellowship moment. What makes this particularly interesting is how these choices, sculptor, painter, and the specific characters, signal a certain narrative emphasis. Frodo and Sam are almost the emotional through-line of the journey. Aragorn carries the weight of leadership and destiny. From my perspective, Dark Horse is signaling these three as the heart of Bakshi's ensemble, almost as a gateway into the entire film for new collectors who might not be familiar with the full, sprawling cast. Now, a quick commentary on design decisions that matter for fans and collectors alike. The figures are PVC, a durable standard for collectibles with a balance of price and presence. The height range suggests a coordinated display size rather than oversized showpieces. That means this set is built for shelf continuity, rather than dramatic centerpiece moments. What this really suggests is a deliberate accessibility move. More people can display a cohesive trio without boss-level price or space commitments. A detail I find fascinating is how this choice could influence future sesquicentennial mini collections. Are we looking at Dark Horse testing the waters for broader Bakshi-era figure lines? Or is this a one-off homage? Speaking of future plans, Dark Horse teases more releases in this animated Lord of the Rings series. That line invites a larger conversation about universe building and collectibles. Do you extend Bakshi's cast with Eowyn, Gandalf, or an ensemble chase of background silhouettes? Or do you lean into the film's most iconic moments, like the trek through the mines or the river journey, reframed as figure dioramas? From my vantage, the tease is a strategic invitation to fans who want the rest of the cast, without turning to the more expensive, higher-profile licenses. It also raises a broader trend. Retro-animated interpretations are getting a renewed merchandising push as audiences chase the original vibe, alongside modern Star Wars and Marvel rival sets. On the market dynamics side, the price point, $89.99 for a 3-pack, and the September to November window are telling. It's pricing that lands in serious collector territory, but remains accessible for a subset of fans who want an established aesthetic without breaking the bank on multiple character waves. The window aligns with holiday shopping semantics, which is a smart retail play. What's interesting here is not just the money, but the signal. Dark Horse believes there's a fervent community still hungry for Bakshi-era adaptations, and they're betting on the nostalgia economy working alongside contemporary nostalgia cycles. What many people don't realize is how much collector communities influence distribution timing and exclusive drops. This isn't just about art. It's about timing the dopamine hit for fans craving a sense of ownership over iconic visuals. Let's widen the lens a bit. The original Bakshi film was a landmark in adapting sprawling source material under budget and technical constraints, and its look, part rotoscoped realism, part bold fantasy, left a lasting imprint on how people visualize Middle-earth. If you take a step back and think about it, These figures aren't just product, they're a curated doorway into a specific cinematic memory. That matters because the visual language Bakshi carved out, earthy tones, rugged heroism, a certain rough-edged authenticity, differs from the more polished, larger-than-life aesthetics of later adaptations. What this really suggests is a conversation about how fans encode memory into tangible forms. You hold a model and you're holding on to a memory of how you first perceived a film, not just the characters. Before we wrap, a quick reflection on what this means for you, the viewer. If you're a Bakshi-era fan or a general Lord of the Rings collector, this trio is a low-stakes entry into a larger, potentially expanding line. It's a test bed for whether the market will embrace more from Bakshi's world without needing a full remaster or a big-screen revival. In my opinion, the success of this set could nudge Dark Horse to more aggressively chase underexplored corners of the animation lineage, which would be exciting for longtime fans and curious newcomers alike. One thing that immediately stands out is how a relatively small, finely curated set can ignite conversation about an entire era of adaptation. What this also implies is the enduring power of art styles to shape merchandising strategy years, even decades, after their original release. So what's the takeaway? Dark Horse is carving out a niche that honors a controversial but influential chapter of Middle-earth cinema, while testing the appetite for broader Bakshi-era figures. It's not just about owning 3 figurines, it's about owning a fragment of how fans remember and reinterpret a beloved epic. If you're curious to chase this line, September through November 2026 could be your window to start building a Bakshi-inspired shelf that stands apart from the louder, newer licenses. And I'm genuinely wondering, will we see more from this animated universe? Or will this be a beautifully contained homage? If you enjoyed this dive, drop a comment with which Bakshi moment you'd want turned into a figure next. Do you want to see more of the Fellowship, or a focus on villains and design experiments? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll build out a deeper breakdown of the potential line, including a wishlist for who should come next and how Dark Horse could stage future reveals for maximum collector buzz.